Oh, it's 8:21. Sky is beautiful today, not a single cloud to be seen. Oh, there might have been a minor smudge in the sky. On the 15th of September 2025, you are looking at the Ring Nebula through ASI Live stacking software, default settings for histogram. We'll do a little zoom in on the ring. It's a little bit off, but there you have it, 5-second exposure. I'm going to stay with 5-second exposures tonight because I am going to go after a few studies, and focus looks a little off. I've been having some drifting due to temperature changes. Anyway, so I'll adjust the focus, and what we're going to do is we're going to try to synchronize up to the north with studies in the NGC catalog beginning with 7100 and switching over to the other scope so we can get the entire series. There'll be several studies that we will display both versions of scope, the f4 El Quattro and the f8 Eddy. And this is our view at, let's see, 150x, which is 100% e-zoom in El Quattro, but only 50% e-zoom in the slower f8, 150 millimeter as is the El Quattro in the observatory. So let's move on from here. I will set some focus. All right, I had to go to ASI image, I believe, switch back to set the focus a little better. And now we're back to ASI Live with 5-second exposure time. You can see the central star in the ring. And let's move on now to our studies of the evening, beginning with polarism. Begin our second session of the evening, this time using at 150 millimeter ED refractor, Eddy, the Skywatcher refractor on the Losman DG11 mount. What you're seeing here, of course, is what we started off with, I do believe, in our previous session using f4 Newtonian, fast Newtonian El Quattro. This is a 5-second exposure. I'll be staying with them throughout the evening, as we are going to capture many of the same studies except the ones to the far north that we previously captured with El Quattro, but we're also going to go through more of the NGC series that heads south beginning at NGC 7100, and we'll fold into them the views we had through El Quattro. So here we have basically, this is a 60x view because it's 20% e-zoom, and on f4 that's only 35x. On this, the f8, it is 60 to 70x. Let's do a quick zoom in up to the 150x version, which is at 50% on f8, but as at 50% is 150x on the f8 refractor, and I have to go to 100% zoom to capture 150x on the f4. So that's enough of an intro for the evening. It is now 9:24 on the 15th of September 2025 with a superb sky overhead, presaged by blue depth, fall into blue skies on the day. So let's move on to our studies for the evening. Okay, here's our 60x view of course, the Dumbbell Nebula, which we saw previously at half the magnification initially through the f4. Let's go ahead and push it up to 150x, which pretty much fills the field. Stars looking pretty good. The focus is okay. I could spend more time on it, but then I have to switch over to ASI, the other ASI version. This is ASI Live, and the other one is ASI Image. And you know what this study is, Messier 27, the Dumbbell Planetary. We're getting quite a good view. Here's our 75x. Remember, man, I almost have to confirm we're still at 5-second exposure. That's a very, very nice view of the dumbbell. 5-second exposure through f4, 150 El Quattro. And let's push it up to 150x, spilling out in field, plenty of nebulosities, 14.1 central star, maybe more than a dozen stars encompassed within the nebulosity itself, plus the equatorial obtrusion of gases, ionized gases going off to the 11 and to the 5 o'clock positions. Can't complain about that. Maybe we should take a look at the crescent, although I'm at 14 minutes in now and there's a few other studies I want to pick up. Okay, here we have our 5-second exposure at 30x. Let's push it up to 75x. And let's push it up till it fills the field. And that looks like it's going to come in at 150x of the Crescent Nebula, NGC 6888. Not a lot of stacks here. I'm going to move on because I'm pushing the limit in how long I want to go with using the Microsoft snipping tool. Okay, here we have our Crescent Nebula view at 60x initially as opposed to 35, so maybe 70. And we will zoom in and fill the field with it. We're at 40% e-zoom. We go to 50%. We are now pressing 150x. Let's stay with this, which is probably somewhere around 120x. Here's our view. If I feel called to do so, let's see if we can enhance it just a wee bit using the histogram. Nice, darker background sky with filigree modeling all over the Crescent Nebula. We're not seeing as much of the, at 5 seconds, as much as the frontier as we would to this side, but we are making out this luminous area here. Most of this is probably H2, and that's probably reflective nebulosity. A quick view of Messier 31 with its dark lanes on both sides of the core, Messier 32, that elliptical satellite, and Messier 110, all of them looking very sharp on such a brilliant night of viewing. Here we have a 10-second view of, obviously, Messier 31, a couple of dark lanes. Unfortunately, we're also operating at twice the magnification of El Quattro. So instead of a 35x view, which practically encompasses all three, Messier 31, 32, and 110 plus NGC 206, the star-forming H2 region, we doubled the magnification, which means we lose some brilliance of light. But look at this, we're seeing quite a bit of dark lanes, and we're of course not encompassing as much of the galaxy as we might want. Here is our 10-second view of Messier 32. We can see off the screen here the dark lanes associated with Messier 31. We are operating at 60x. Let's push it up to 150. Becomes quite brilliant. It is an elliptical, although a very small elliptical galaxy that is orbiting around its much larger neighbor, and like our own galaxy will join with it in our case, some 3 billion years in the future. Now we're getting our 10-second view of Messier 110. Stacking the exposure should reveal more of this galaxy. Although it does have a stellar core and a core region, it is actually quite diffuse in its nature. Let's see what happens when we push the magnification up. As I said before, things should brighten and reveal themselves. Let's see, we're at our 150x view right there. I'm going to allow it to develop a little bit as I look up a couple more distant relatives, satellite galaxies, that are found in the constellation Cassiopeia rather than Pegasus. That would be, I believe, 147 and 185. So here we have Messier 147, vaguely visible in the center of the field. It's a distant satellite galaxy of Messier 31. We'll push it up to 100% e-zoom, but it pretty much dissolves. There's not a whole lot to this particular galaxy. Pushing it back to 75x, there is our view. That's not bad after several stacks at 5 seconds each. Okay, I love 5-second exposures because they come together pretty quickly. Although they don't give us the depth, and I do have to spend more time on the histogram. Here is, let's go back to our 50x view of NGC 185, the other satellite galaxy, well, more developed, and push it up to 150x. Okay, in doing my NGC series earlier, a couple of years ago using the Rev 2 system, I was really impressed with this galaxy right here. It is NGC 278. It's not a satellite galaxy, but it's in that vicinity that you might expect it. Here is a really fine 150x view. I'm so appreciative of it. Let's push it up to 300 just for the heck of it. And that would approximate to the magnification through Eddy. Okay, here we are having our faintish view of the NGC 147, a galaxy in Cassiopeia, magnitude 9.5, but huge. 13.5 by 8.2 arc minutes, called a D, lowercase d, a disturbed elliptical, capital E, 2.4 million light years distant. At right ascension, 0 hours, 33 minutes, 11 seconds, with a declination. Oh, we're getting, no wonder we're missing part of it. We're at plus 48 degrees, 30 minutes, and 27 seconds, so we are getting some aperture blocking the scope. But let's push on to 185 anyway. Here we have NGC 185. It's much more obvious, and we're getting more of the scope aperture on it. Its magnitude 9.2, 12.5 by 10.4 arc minutes. It's also a disturbed elliptical, apparently 2.1 million light years distant. Right ascension 38 minutes 57 seconds, with a declination too far north of 48 degrees 20 minutes 13 seconds.